Hi, I'm Patty Ceglio, and I am inside the 1+1=1 gallery in downtown Helena, Montana. And I'm happy to be here for the opening day of the Black and White show. The work that is in the Black and White +1 show this year is a body of work that started to be developed over the winter time. And you'll sort of see that I might have started with tree silhouettes. So a winter tree. As I was exploring the area, I would be engaged in what trees look like against the sky. So that's how I started with these silhouettes in winter. And then as spring came on, and silhouettes like that were no longer, the work developed into other things. You'll see that it's black and white, and then there's this pop of a sky blue, a cerulean blue that I just love, because black and white wasn't enough for me, and I wanted a hint of surprise and wonder. And as I thought about the trees dancing with the sky, that blue is one of my favorite colors anyway, and so it was sort of a natural fit for this series. So the other thing, you'll see there are 3 or 4 styles of decoration. But the body of work is all connected because of the coloring, black and white plus this blue, and they all contain a quote about either nature, trees, wilderness, or something like that. That's really coming from my soul, coming from who I am. And so this body of work is a real representation of who I am. And it's very interesting to me that I started this body of work long before Maureen asked me to be in a Black and White +1 show. So you think about the serendipitous nature of that these are pieces that were produced because of who I am and what I had to say, and then they found a place here at the Black and White show. So that was an extra bonus for me. So the pieces, this is an example of sgraffito, and sgraffito means scratching, I think, in Italian. And so this piece would have been built with a clay body, completely covered in black underglaze, and then carved away. So all these marks that you see, including the text, is all carved into the surface of the clay, through the underglaze into the clay body itself. So this piece itself was well into the development of the body of work. It was just something that came to me, the aspens or the birch. As they happen in larger groups, I really wanted to represent that, and sort of the analogy of us as humans standing together and needing one another in the world, and that's how that happened. And on this piece, for instance, it wasn't enough for me to have spent many hours, probably 8 hours in this carving process, that I wanted a pop on the back, so I added the little bird and the date. Carved into the tree. I knew that wasn't a nice thing for the tree, but it fit with the piece and what I was thinking. So there you have that. This piece is an example of sheer decoration. So the pot was thrown and then painted or drawn on were these accents. So this involves no carving, unlike this piece. And there's that tree silhouette and the quote. And then this came about much more recently. My background with a Bachelor of Fine Arts and my love of drawing and the beauty of line and pencil against paper came to me to try and sketch on porcelain. So this is actually a technique with an underglaze pencil. So you're actually sketching onto the porcelain as if it were a canvas. So this, and there's another piece in the show that are some of my favorites because it's a combination of things that I love. And again, the quote. So there's several different kinds of decoration happening, all within the same body of work that is well connected because of their style and the Black and White +1. That's really who I am. You know, I am a potter, but I am also a drawer and a painter and a photographer, and this just happens to be a way to combine those things. And then incorporating the wilderness, the quotes, the calligraphy, those are all, again, part of who I am. And so this body of work is just really me in many different ways. This is a different, this was maybe a transitional piece. The body of work that I had done this winter, I wanted to find a way to take art to a 360-degree canvas, I guess. And so I started to create orbs out of clay and then decorating them. And so this is a porcelain orb, again, carved with this graffito. I incorporated the other color. And the quote sort of does this interesting twist and turn. So there were some considerations and some resolutions that I had to make. This, for instance, a little stand also made out of ceramic. Prior to that, we didn't have a great way to display these, so things have developed and evolved, and so that feels really good. The other consideration for this is that as it's glazed, we are unable to fire it really efficiently because it has to, like that glaze cannot sit on the kiln floor, so it has to sit on a tripod, and you just have to hope that it doesn't roll off or stick or do some other crazy action in the kiln itself while it's being fired. So these are very much a leap of faith. And after putting hours of carving and decorating into it, to not know whether it's going to make it through the firing, it is a leap of faith. But in the pottery world, we say don't become attached to any piece until it's through all the phases, because you can lose it at any point. So the leaps of faith happen. So there are just a few of these in the show. There were some other pieces this winter, a different style, but it's still carried through. So this is an interesting piece in the series. This came after the aspen tree carving, and I started to explore with the pencil, and I realized that there was this beauty of creating depth and surface and a statement with the underglazed pencil. So this was obviously one of the most intense pieces in the show, but I just adore how it turned out. And it's interesting, Maureen said that somebody who came through the gallery a few days ago said, this is a unit in itself, this is a piece of art, and then when you flip it around, it's a whole other being. And so that's sort of interesting to me. You could display it that way, or if the quote spoke to you, you could display it that way. But anyway, it's just a really nice combination for me, and a great way to pull it all together. So part of my background, a big part of my background, I grew up in the Midwest with mature growth trees. That is part of my history. And then I spent many years in the Yellowstone, greater Yellowstone ecosystem, where that's high alpine deserts, lots of trees, lots of land with no trees. And so I transitioned from there after 30 years, came to Helena, where mature growth trees are again here, and a real diversity of species. So it's great for me, and that helped with this tree series, different inspirations, different kinds of trees, different looks to how trees present themselves in the world. So that's a part of it. That said, my day job is working for a company who helps job seekers find jobs in great places like Yellowstone, like Yosemite, like Glacier. And I myself have been to 32 national parks, and I will continue that growth. So the wilderness, being inspired, having words speak to me, having trees speak to me, having nature speak to me is really, like I said, it really is just a part of who I am. And one of my most recent inspirations, I got to hear the author Terry Tempest Williams speak at a conference, and she just captivated me and was able to capture so many of the thoughts that I have had along the years working and living in Yellowstone National Park and loving wilderness and loving quotes about wilderness. And the one quote that I pulled from the book, "Wilderness is not a place of isolation but contemplation, refuge, So that's some real truth for me. I could be the only person within miles of a place in Yellowstone or Helena on the trail system, but feel completely at peace, and it's where some of my best thinking and maybe even planning, processing, envisioning work to come happens. So it's a great way to tie this whole thing together. I am very appreciative of Maureen and Tim and the 1+1 Gallery for having a platform to be able to bring my art to the Helena community, and inspiration and great just collaboration of in the art world and processing all that. Late this winter, I was able to take a creative expression workshop. And that was a half-day workshop given by a lovely lady here in Helena. And one of our exercises was to take a walk and really just see differently. And that was probably a catalyst for a turning point in this work, where there was, I believe it was a birch tree when I stopped, and to bring in the eye of the child, or this is the first time I'm seeing this tree or seeing it differently, really looking, really seeing, and how intrigued I was in the bark and the patterns and the black and white. So that really helped to inform the work as well. And the other thing would just be the lovely community of the Archie Bray and the collaboration that happens between people there, and just being able to bounce ideas off one another and learn techniques and gain knowledge into the ceramic arts has been phenomenal. Whether it's with community students, residents, guest speakers. So we've got a lovely gem here in Helena that I'm not sure everybody appreciates or understands the depth of. So it's great to be here.